Well, hello, everybody. It's really exciting today because today we're talking about women's empowerment, and that is something that's close to my heart and it's definitely close to my lovely guests here. I know that. So I've got the lovely Keely Woolley here and also Lorraine Crooks, and I'm going to get them to tell you a little bit about themselves in a minute. But first of all, I just want to say if you're a woman and you're not fulfilling your potential in any shape, way, form, there's something that's missing in your life, then these two ladies have got something powerful to share with you, which is why I've invited them here to talk to them. So let me ask them to introduce themselves. Keely, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, first of all, thank you for inviting me on here, and it's great to also be sharing the platform, Lorraine. So, I'm part of Metamorforsuccess, and I'm all about, as you turn around and say, is it empowering women to thrive and shine beyond belief. Actually, not just women, because ultimately men can thrive and shine as well. And I think quite often what we're not doing is actually connecting with our female energy, and it's being able to help people to manage the stress within their life, actually find their true purpose and do what they love, but also ensure that they are looking after themselves inside and out, because it's great that we might put all of this, wonderful stuff on our skin, but if we don't look after ourselves inside, then it's going to make no difference whatsoever. So yeah, so I like to help people thrive and shine. We'll talk about more in a minute.
Definitely. Lorraine, what about yourself?
So I'm a sexual empowerment liberator, and I support entrepreneurs and business professionals to lead a more orgasmic life by helping them to connect to sex, intimacy, and pleasure in a really healthy and expanded way. And that's men and women, but as women, it's just tapping into those layers that sometimes we kind of ignore and don't want to connect with for whatever reasons going on. Menopause, family, life gets in the way. So just helping people to be more empowered in connecting to that amazing energy that we'll have.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, I love that. I think even just sharing what you do is a step forward in the right direction, isn't it? Because it's been how long, how many years? People don't talk about these things. So it's fantastic to have some open, frank discussions around women's needs and everything that is there for them, if only they know where to find it.
And this is why the G100 really believes in supporting women across the globe in every single sector of every single type. It just so happens our one is associated to healthcare and wellness. And the whole day is going to be focusing on stress management, being able to do stuff that's supporting aging well, because as we get older, things change. As we've already discussed, the fact that our bodies change, we get emotional levels that change, going from DEFCON 9 in sort of 0 to 60 for no apparent reason at all. One minute you're in love with someone, next minute you want to chew their head off and don't know why. And it's putting tools and strategies for that, being able to connect with ourselves, and also having those vulnerable conversations. And as you turn around and say, that sometimes we feel like we're almost in Victorian times and, things are quite taboo. And actually we can't, as you've turned around and said, Lorraine, enjoy sex. There was the old thing is that if you actually enjoy sex and that was wrong, it was like, well, the reality is that's okay. It's good to be intimate with someone. And it's not just about sex. It's also having those vulnerable conversations as your body changes and being able to discuss it, whether it's with your husband, your children, or work colleagues. So it's a packed full day, and also things around nutrition as well. So, and I know Lorraine is going to go into more detail.
I think it's really good to get out in the open what women's empowerment is all about, isn't it? Because you hear people assuming that we're going back to the old days of burning your bra and women's lib, and there's a whole kind of conversation around women's empowerment as if it's like, oh, well, women are just that, they think they're better than, or they're trying to push themselves forward, but that's so not what women's empowerment is all about. And that's why it's so important to discuss the topic, because Lorraine, why is women's empowerment so important?
I think there's so many layers to this, but I think it's about giving women permission. Men have a different energy, there's a different set of emotions, and biologically men manage things differently. And I think sometimes women just need that permission to say, do you know what, life's not great at the minute, and these are the things I'm struggling with. And we are still in a transition of women moving into work and managing and juggling, and that's still something, as much as men struggle to know whether they're supposed to be opening the door or paying for the meal, etc., etc. Women are still finding their feet with that as well, and just trying to balance all the many roles that we kind of wear. And I think it's just about saying, hey, it's okay. It's okay for wherever you're at, whether it's bringing up your children, going through the menopause, struggling with changes in your body, whatever it might be. that you're not the only one, and we can have a conversation about it, which many of us don't, because as women, we don't think that, we're trying to hold all those emotions back and kind of hold the reins and manage life and trying to juggle everything. And actually, sometimes we can't. Sometimes we need to say, hey, I need some time out. I need to discover who I am, reset. And it's knowing where to go for that when that time comes, knowing who to reach out to for the different aspects of that, whether it's healing with health and looking after an aging body, or whether it's actually needing to come home to your body and meet it in an intimate way with pleasure. And that can be on your own. It doesn't have to be a partner. It can be as simple as having the most amazing bubble bath, but being in that experience, because often we're so busy, particularly I think as women, on the next thing. We're doing one thing and we're already on the next thing. I know this morning I've been kind of doing a bit of that myself. It's just like, but it's just like we're already planning the next thing, and sometimes we just need to be in a moment. And that's what's so amazing about this day. It's a whole day to be in that moment, to take yourself out of life and go, actually, what do I need?
Because the truth is, it's so important to do that. And women, as you said, women a lot of the time, they put their lives on hold, whether it's to do with family, it could be to do with caring for, elderly relatives. There's all sorts of reasons why a woman traditionally is the one that puts their life on hold. And actually, there's still a lot of that around now. They are regarded as the carer in all sorts of different capacities. And when you become a carer for other people, often you don't care for yourself, do you? So Keely, tell us a little bit about why is it important, even initially, to acknowledge that you need to care for yourself?
Well, I mean, you and I have spoken about this, I know, quite heavily in the past, because one of the biggest things is creating that awareness. Because until you create awareness of your current situation, I mean, myself, I was in the corporate world for over 23 years. I thought I had it absolutely nailed. I thought I was looking after myself. I thought I was doing all the right things in terms of, eating, lifestyle and all those kinds of stuff. Really, really good. But as Lorraine has already said, quite often you're running at 1,000 miles an hour. I was getting up on Monday. I was flying out to another country, traveling. Thursday, come back. Friday, I was doing all of my admin, all of those kind of things at the same time, doing all the shopping, doing all the cleaning, looking after the house, looking after kids. My husband is medically retired. My daughter, she's got fibromyalgia. You're just constantly spinning those plates, and you don't realise when you're in that space that you might be shooting for the hip and, getting really angry and shitty with your children or your partner unexpectedly. And I'm going to add the menopause into that as well. I mean, I hadn't gone through it at that time. I don't, God knows what I'd been like if I had it. So, but, I was going through that, 1 minute I was okay, next minute I was just losing it. And going, well, what the hell's going on? Or I was just tired. You have one moments because you're really resilient. You're going at 1,000 miles an hour. You have the bad day, you drop, come back up. You have the bad day, you drop and come up. And this goes on until such time as suddenly you just crash and burn, because your body goes, you know what? You're not listening to me. You're not listening to me. So I'm going to do it for you. And when it does it for you, it can be not just a month, 2 months of having some sleep. It's like 6 months, a year. Some people lose their jobs, go into depression. So until you've created that awareness and gone, right, let's take a step back. Let's try to understand what's driving me to feel the way that I'm feeling. Then you can start putting things in place. Some things will be quick. Some things will take that much longer, because it's like peeling back an onion until you get to the root cause of it, and then you can put something in place. So as you can see, very, very passionate about it.
Rightly so, because it's something that we've needed to look at for a long, long time. So having people now who are aware of that and who can express that passion, it just means you're giving opportunities for those who are struggling to realize they're not on their own. If you're listening to this and you're facing any of these kind of struggles, then reach out to Keely and to Lorraine, because the whole point is that there are people there who care. People there, they care because they've been there. And I know for myself that running a busy household, 4 children, running your own business and all of these things, and then caring for my mum as well, it takes its toll. And I think you just hit on the nail on the head there with something particular as well. It's not just that it takes its toll on you. It can really damage relationships all around you. So Lorraine, talk about the effect that it can have on relationships, more intimate relationships. What can happen when somebody isn't listening to themselves?
I think that breakdown in communication, when we're not listening to ourselves and we don't understand where we're at, and the fact that we probably don't want to talk about it anyway, because sharing things with our partners sometimes is really difficult. We don't want to be judged or have that fear of rejection, that you might say something that they don't understand and then it's just going to cause an argument, and we go kind of round in this cycle. And to be able to have the tools to have those open conversations, because if you're in a relationship, and I kind of include the one with yourself as well, no, sometimes we need to have conversations with ourselves as much as our partners, but just having that conversation where you can be vulnerable, but knowing how to have that conversation. No one teaches us those things. How do we engage in that conversation where we're not going to feel judged for how we feel, where we're not going to feel upset? And that's for men and women, to be honest, but just to have open conversations where we can navigate how we feel and talk about our feelings, and how we want to set our boundaries around our relationship, how we want to explore our relationship. We all evolve, and I always say, during our life we change our house, we change our car, we change our job, and quite often what happens in the bedroom pretty much stays the same, because we get in this habit and it's comfortable and we don't want to upset anything because it's still such a taboo subject, so we kind of leave things as they are. Nobody's really happy. It can become stagnant. And actually, in the work I do, what I see is the relationships breaking up, people becoming very disconnected to their body. So then it shows up in, as Keely was saying, the physical health side, whether that's issues around menopause, whether that's erectile dysfunction, like it can show up in so many different ways. And then the relationship with ourselves and with our partner can break down. So it kind of goes from having a difficult conversation to potentially ending of a relationship, because they kind of almost go hand in hand. And even talking about, the health side of it, I don't feel great today, and this may be why, and it's not a reflection on our partner. We're just being open about where we're at, and those are the conversations a lot of us don't have. We kind of struggle on, we do our best. Sometimes we need to say, do you know what, I just need to step off for a little bit, even if it's for an hour, and just take some time out. But being able to have that conversation can be really difficult, because a lot of us have got that kind of British stiff upper lip where we carry on regardless, and it'll all be okay in the end. And actually, sometimes it's not.
And actually building upon that, Lorraine, as well, it's not just the relationship with your partners or your children, it's also your work colleagues. Because if you're going into work, and I mean, come on, I mean, everybody turns around and says this, oh, you should always leave at the doorway, what's going on? It just really frustrates me, because we're all human. And if you've just had, say, a blazing row with your partner, or as you say, you're caring for your mum or your husband or something like that, and you're carrying all this stuff, if you come into work and pretend that there's nothing wrong, put a mask on, when my whole thing about imposter and all those kind of things, not being authentic, when you go into work pretending something, and then you start losing it with someone unexpectedly, or you're feeling grumpy or not want to smile. I mean, I used to get told up because I smile, me, I'm always smiling and I'm laughing, all that lot. But as soon as I weren't, they'd be, oh, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, well, one, I'd look nuts if I was smiling all the time, look like a slightly deranged. But the other side of it is that I am human and things go wrong. So if you can turn around and say, like, guys, today's not a good day, and if I do have a bit of a grump or grind or something like that, it's not personal, it's not about you, it's just I'm having one of those days, please just let me own it, let me take it, and all those kind of things. Or actually, guys, I need your support and I can't do this on my own because I'm not feeling up to it, and I'm asking for it, and it's okay. And when you create that environment with vulnerability and trust, then they'll do the same back to you, which then means that you end up having more of a cohesive, collaborative team around you. What's not to lose? Yeah, it's one of those amazing things.
And that home work relationship is such an unconscious thing. I know in a lot of the work I do, you can't help but take stuff to work, and vice versa. But actually, if we can empower ourselves in intimacy and pleasure, that serotonin and dopamine and that energy of being in a happy place, whether that's singing from the chandeliers or just sitting down and having a romantic meal, or even a kiss and cuddle on the way out the door. So many people forget just that hug before you leave the house can make such a difference to your day, than kind of that crossword that can literally, you can't not take that into work. But you end up with this kind of bouncing energy between the two, which eventually takes its toll, either on the relationship, on your body, on your health. Somewhere something's got to break. And it is those intimate relationships that feed your life, whether it's the one with yourself or your partner. that's where that kind of joy, that euphoria, that potential orgasmic energy can be tapped into, and we can take that out into the world, not just into work.
It does create the ripple effect, doesn't it? So go on, Angela.
No, I mean, it's just really interesting listening to you, because at the root of all of this, it strikes me, is the communication, literally the communication with yourself, admitting where you're at, with those people around you. Because what I see, and I'm sure you've seen this, there can be almost like, I don't think I want to talk about it. You can get yourself into a downward spiral of thinking it's going to be too hard. So therefore, I'm just going to sit on it. And then creating this false appreciation of work or the workplace or the other thing, as if that's the place of peace. And so it starts to disrupt the relationship at home, even though you haven't told the person at home, whoever it is, that there's even a problem in the first place. And then the disconnect starts. And once that starts, it's very difficult to come back to it, isn't it? It's very difficult to unpick the pieces. So listening to both of you speaking, it strikes me it's so important to first of all admit to yourself that you're struggling, and that it's okay, that it's actually okay to struggle. That's not because you're a failure. That's just because life happens. And then to start admitting it to those people around you. You're much more likely, in fact, to be able to leave home at home if home is okay, and if conversations are happening and things are happy there. And of course, it's going to overflow to your workplace.
I think one of the biggest lessons that I learned, and I think I've shared this to you before, Angela, because where my husband and my daughter were, where my husband's medically retired, my daughter was unwell, there was a lot of things going on. What I used to do is that when I'd had like a bad day or was struggling or something like that, or been travelling, I used to come home, sit in my driveway, I would cry in my car, and then come into the house and it'd be like, hiya, everything's fine, because I felt that they've got enough going on that they didn't want my crap. And it was on the massage table with my daughter, because she does massage aromatherapy, and while she was giving me a massage, as you know, it releases a lot of stuff that's going on. And I started crying and crying and crying, and Aisha said to me, what's wrong? And I explained, and she said, why don't you share this with us? And I said, well, you've got enough going on in your lives, and Dad has. And she said, has it ever occurred to you that you're not allowing us, empowering us to be able to ask you if you're okay? Because you're always so strong, you're not giving us permission, and you're disempowering us and stopping us from being able to help you. It was like a punch in the gut when she said it, but what a wake-up call, because we make these assumptions that we're doing the right thing, and the reality is that's not true. Communication, it's such a beautiful...
So many times with couples. I've done some tantra work with couples, and one of them has said something and they're like, I feel like that too. And you're like, and I'm like, so how long have you felt like that? And you like, it can be 20 years. But this couple have not been able to feel that they can have, and that a lot of that's society, I think, but to leave it. And actually sometimes we have those conversations. I know when I first started doing my work, I was a secondary school teacher, and suddenly I'm now talking about sex, and everyone was a bit like, wow. But actually when you step in your power, you'd be surprised who steps up and meets you. You'd be surprised where people can meet you at when you're really true to who you are. And that's what our day's about, having a safe space to come and see where you're at, what you have, a beautiful bucket of tools that you can tap into either there, or just things you can say, actually, I need to do that, but I want to start here and I'm going to do that. And just this beautiful lush basket of yumminess that you can just take a day out. Well, it is. You can just take a day out and go, where am I at and what do I need to feed my body, my soul, my heart, my sex life, whatever it might be. Just don't give ourselves this space. And women supporting women is a powerful, powerful tool.
You've hit something that's really close to my heart, which has been speaking a lot recently, and that the old saying about it is in giving that we receive. There's a sort of very common, and I think it's women that have carried the burden of that. This is, we give and we give and we give, and we're supposed to just organically receive by doing it. But it struck me recently very much what you've just said, Keely, as well. Unless we are receiving, in fact, the power of receiving is that we give somebody else the ability to give, which is exactly what Aisha was saying to you, wasn't it? It was like by acknowledging that we're not super cool, superhuman, and that we can't cope with everything that's around us. We're giving someone else the opportunity to care for us. And how powerful and how wonderful do you feel when you've been able to care for somebody and made a difference in their life? So learning how to receive is so important. It changes everything.
no,
And also
no.
having the tools then to hand on to our kids. You know, once
Yeah.
we're empowered, knowledge is power. So we can then support our children with whatever that might be to help them live a more healthier lifestyle, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever that might be. But until we empower ourselves, we can't support, we've got to support ourselves first before we can support others around us. It's kind of flipping the coin, isn't it, in empowering others through our own action.
It's also, you're actually leading by example as well, because unless we put in personal boundaries, as we say, no is a sentence, and you can follow it off with thank you, something like that, but it is okay to put personal boundaries in place. And if we don't put those in place and we don't do it in front of our children, we're not teaching them respect our boundaries, but also to respect their own. Because if they see us always giving, never saying no and all those kind of things, then they're also going to be doing the same and following the same patterns in their own lives. So you have to lead by example to show them how you need to act, and it's okay. And also, as you say, is ask for what you want and be clear about it. I mean, because the other thing that women are not very good at, and we quite often, if you see two different emails that from a man or a woman, with a man, they just ask for what they want. They're clear about it. We're women, we pussyfoot about it, and we turn around and say, could you possibly, it'd be really nice, perhaps you could do this. Maybe there's never any, I want this, or I need this. Clarity. Give them clarity, and don't make assumptions, because people go, oh, well, they didn't do this. She's like, well, did you ask them? No. I said, well, then don't make assumptions, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to do it. So, communication.
Yes.
And sometimes
Fantastic.
that's things like that people are like, wow, what happened? You suddenly stepped into your power. And we've got some really great tools on how to overcome that on the Empowerment Day that can just, because suddenly when you start stepping into your power, people get scared. They're like, whoa, what's happened here? She's got feisty. And it's just like, it's helping other people understand where you're at as well. And even by coming to the day, you say, well, I went on this Empowerment Day and, I learned some new tools and some new tricks. But actually how to navigate these changes so other people around you don't get a little bit confused as well. Because when you step up, not everyone else understands it's like what's happened to her.
It's also in that environment, when women are in that environment and they're hearing these stories, that they're not the only one, then they go, okay, then I'm not weak, I'm not this, I'm not that. It is a way for people to actually open up together and go, actually, I'm not alone. And we do make these mistakes, and we are human. And I mean, even though, and I'm sure Lorraine, myself, yourself, we are very conscious of a lot of things that we do. We're very self-aware, but do we slip into bad habits? Of course we do. The only difference is going back to the awareness, is that we go, Keely, what are you doing there? Or Angela, what are you doing that? You question yourself so you can check in and then go back to what you should be doing. And that's the difference, is that? So
It's a huge difference when you actually give yourself permission to do that in the first place. And then it's like a little voice saying, it's like you've decided that you're never going to do that again, but you just did. And like you say, it's going to happen, isn't it? You can't just suddenly change overnight, but practicing taking time for yourself. So what, on the Empowerment Day itself, what are people going to get? What do they get when they turn up?
Us.
yeah. Amazingness, no.
Well, we've got 4 workshops. In the morning, 2 after Kelly's delivering 2 and I'm delivering 2. So there's a real mix of yumminess in content. There's a beautiful goodie bag to go home with, and just connecting with other women, which I think is probably one of the most powerful parts of the day, meeting other women and just learning about ways they can navigate through some different challenges. Array of different topics that we're covering.
Oh, and also, because obviously there's an element around nutrition, we would also be sharing some of the products as well, like the energy balls, the protein cakes and fizz sticks and things like that. So they just get a chance to actually have a taste of it and know that you can enjoy things, even if you choose a healthy lifestyle, which we should be, especially as we get older, because we need to make sure that we're keeping our hormones in balance. You can enjoy lovely, yummy food, as you say, all the yumminess. We can enjoy those things, and as I say, in the workshops, it will be effectively helping us to be able to rebalance our hormones, have those difficult conversations, manage stress in a much healthier way, live a healthier lifestyle, but enjoy life to the full. Practice that self-care, self-love, self-compassion.
Where's the day taking place?
So the event is being held at the Kent Wellbeing Hub, which is near the M2. So sort of Medway Towns area. And it's a beautiful little space that we've got the whole space to ourselves for the day, really conducive to the kind of the message that we're putting out. And it's just ours for the day. It's a lovely space in Medway Towns. Easy to get to. Once you sign up, all the directions and all the information comes heading to you in your inbox. But yeah, and there's parking on site, and it's literally at the M2 services.
Very, very convenient. And the good thing is that we also have additional support that's going to be there on the day too. So if anybody does have a bit of a wobble, and sometimes it happens when you start doing some inner work. I mean, I know we did the retreat together, Angela, and you know, sometimes things show up unexpectedly. You're like, oh, okay. But we've also got support there as well. So safe spaces for you to be able to take a break and someone to support you through that journey as well. So it's a very supportive.
Literally practicing what we're preaching, saying we have a space for you to step out of what you've stepped into if you need to, because sometimes things come up. So it's like, there's literally a layer in a layer. So it's like, come and be with us. But also if you get triggered by a little, and we never know what's it can be the most unexpected thing that just goes, that's really resonated, and it touches a part of us that we didn't necessarily expect, but maybe that's where the work is. And we've got some little spaces people can just step out, take a few moments, and rejoin us when they're ready. So.
How do women find out about this day? Where do they go to book?
So we'll be sharing the link with you to the actual event itself with all of the actual details. That said, if they want to reach us and just have a chat and message, both of us are actually on LinkedIn. So if you go to my profile, Keely Woolley on LinkedIn, or Lorraine Crooks, we're also on Facebook as well. But the phone numbers we would also share, and contact details, so if people want to have a chat about it. So okay.
Lovely. And what's the start time, finish time? We're just getting a few more details here.
9:30 arrival with a meet and greet, and then we kick off at 10, and we will be running until 3 o'clock, and then there's like an hour, so there's a bit of networking so people can have a chat, get to know each other, and also if they want to find out more about our products and services. And of course, the lunchtime, obviously the only thing that we would invite people to do is bring along some lunch for us. So although we'll have some snacks there, it's more for them to get tasters. It's not to be providing them actual lunch or anything like that. So they would need to bring along that side of it.
And what are you most looking forward to? We'll round up now, because I would love to know what you are most looking forward to on this particular day.
For me, it's just seeing women just be able to step into their own power and thrive and shine, and actually realise that they are all limitless. And it's only this little nugget here that prevents us from doing that. And we can do so much. So that's what I would love to see, is seeing those eureka moments, you know, that light in their eyes when they have that wake up moment.
I would agree with that. And I think also just the connection of women to women, a safe space for women to just be together, connect, have a laugh, celebrate who we are, find out some tools and tips, as much from us as from each other, and just enjoy being together, empowering themselves in their own lives with some amazing tools and some amazing connections.
If you're a woman, I presume it is only just for women.
It is.
So if you're a woman, if you have anything in your life that is holding you back from being who you are, that is a frustration, a relationship you're struggling with, things at work, it could be anything. That's just meaning you're not achieving your full potential. And to be honest, I would hazard a guess that there are very few women who could listen to that statement and not have something in their life that is holding them back, just by the nature of being a woman. So if you want to come along and learn more about yourself, and how learning and growing and developing yourself actually can have a massive impact on the rest of your life. And as you say, Keely, stepping into your power, discovering what that power is, because a lot of women, they do know it deep down, but they don't know how to find it, they don't know how to access it, they don't know how to deliver it, and they certainly don't know how to stand in it. So this is a wonderful opportunity to make that happen and to take that journey, take that first step forward. So thanks for coming along, thanks for sharing. And there's loads of useful tips in there as well. I'd love to talk more about it, but make sure if you're in the area, you don't even have to be too close in the area, do you? Because of where it's situated, so it's easy to get to. And we'll be sharing all the links below this conversation. Thanks again, Keely. Thanks, Lorraine.
And thank you, Angela. Appreciate it. And thank you, Lorraine. Looking forward to it.